Imagine taking a styrofoam cup and throwing it into the ocean. Not just the shallow part where you go swimming, but all the way down to the deepest, darkest trenches on Earth. When you pull it back up, that cup would be crushed down to the size of a thimble. The pressure literally squeezed it into a tiny, dense ball. Now imagine that same pressure acting on your body. Your lungs would collapse like empty soda cans, your bones would crack, your organs would rupture. You'd be dead in seconds. And yet somehow, there are creatures down there that don't just survive this nightmare, they thrive in it. In fact, some of them are practically immortal. So what makes these animals so ridiculously hard to kill? And why does the pressure that would destroy you actually make them stronger? To understand why deep-sea animals are built different, we need to talk about what pressure actually does to living things. At the surface, we're all living under about 14.7 pounds per square inch of atmospheric pressure. You don't feel it because your body is designed for it. But for every 33 feet you go down in the ocean, you add another atmosphere of pressure. That means at just 330 feet deep, you're experiencing 10 times the pressure you feel on land. Your body can't handle that. The air spaces in your lungs, sinuses, and ears would compress violently. Nitrogen in your blood would start forming bubbles. You'd be experiencing what divers call the squeeze, and it's exactly as horrible as it sounds. But here's where it gets really weird. Go down to 3,000 feet, and the pressure is now crushing you with the force of about 1,300 pounds per square inch. That's like having a full-grown grizzly bear standing on every square inch of your body. At 20,000 feet, you're looking at over 8,000 psi. That's enough to crush submarines, to pulverize steel, to turn organic matter into paste. And yet, at these exact depths, you'll find fish swimming around like it's no big deal, jellyfish pulsing through the water, squids hunting in the darkness. How is that even possible? The answer lies in one of the coolest evolutionary hacks in nature. These animals don't fight the pressure, they match it. See, pressure only crushes you when there's a difference between the pressure inside your body and the pressure outside. It's like when you try to crush an empty plastic bottle. Easy. But try crushing that same bottle when it's full of water and sealed tight. Way harder, right? Deep-sea creatures are basically walking water bottles. They're filled with incompressible fluids and tissues that can't be squeezed smaller. No air pockets, no gas-filled organs, just dense, pressure-matched flesh that says, "Nice try," to the crushing depths. But that's just the beginning of their superpowers. Let's talk about the Greenland shark, an animal so absurdly hard to kill that it makes every other predator look fragile. These sharks live in the Arctic and North Atlantic, often at depths of over 7,000 feet. They grow to about 24 feet long and can weigh over 2,000 pounds. But here's the insane part. They can live for over 400 years. Some scientists estimate the oldest ones might be closer to 500 or even 600 years old. That means there could be Greenland sharks swimming around right now that were alive before the United States existed, before the Industrial Revolution, before Shakespeare wrote his plays. These things were already cruising the ocean depths when Galileo was discovering moons. Why do they live so long? The cold and the pressure. At those depths, everything slows down. Their metabolism is glacially slow. They move at about 0.76 miles per hour, which is slower than you walk. They don't waste energy. They don't age quickly. The pressure actually helps preserve their cellular structure, preventing the kind of oxidative damage that causes aging in surface animals. They're basically living in a natural cryogenic chamber, except they're fully awake and occasionally eating seals. Then there's the immortal jellyfish, and yes, that's its actual name, Turritopsis dohrnii. This thing is about the size of a pinky nail, and it has figured out the ultimate cheat code for life. When it gets old, injured, or stressed, it doesn't die. Instead, it reverses its aging process and turns back into a juvenile polyp. Then it grows up again, and again, and again. Theoretically, it can do this forever. It's like if you could turn yourself back into a baby every time you got sick or old, keeping all your cells intact, but resetting your biological clock. Scientists call this process transdifferentiation, and it's the closest thing to true immortality we've found in nature. Now, the immortal jellyfish doesn't live exclusively in the deep sea, but deep sea pressure creates similar conditions of extreme stress that force other creatures to develop equally insane survival mechanisms. Because here's the thing: when you live under that much pressure, you can't afford weak cells. You can't afford DNA that breaks down easily. You can't afford aging the way surface creatures do. Take the deep-sea tube worms that live near hydrothermal vents. These guys don't have mouths, no digestive system, no way to eat. Instead, they have bacteria living inside them that convert toxic chemicals from the vents into food. They can live for over 250 years in water that's near boiling on one side and near freezing on the other, while being crushed by thousands of psi of pressure. They're basically immortal filter tubes that said, "I don't need food, I'll just photosynthesize poison." But the real MVP of refusing to die? The tardigrade, also known as the water bear, and yes, they're found in the deep ocean too. These microscopic animals are less than a millimeter long, but they're arguably the toughest creatures on Earth. They can survive being frozen to almost absolute zero. They can handle being heated to over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. They can live without water for decades by entering a state called cryptobiosis, where they basically pause their biological processes and become a dried-out husk. Then, when water returns, they just wake up and start walking around again like nothing happened. Oh, and they can survive in the vacuum of space. Scientists literally shot them into orbit, exposed them to cosmic radiation and zero pressure, and brought them back. Most of them survived. Some even laid eggs in space that successfully hatched. The deep-sea species of tardigrades use this same indestructibility to handle pressure that would liquefy a human. They've been found at depths of over 15,000 feet, just vibing in conditions that would kill literally anything else with a backbone. Here's what makes these animals even more fascinating. The pressure doesn't just fail to kill them, it actually makes them stronger. Research has shown that certain deep-sea proteins become more stable under high pressure. The intense environment forces their cells to be nearly perfect. Any weakness gets eliminated immediately. It's natural selection on steroids. Only the absolute toughest genetic configurations survive, and over millions of years, you end up with creatures that are basically biological tanks. Scientists have discovered that deep-sea fish have special pressure-resistant proteins called piezolites. These molecules counteract the pressure by maintaining the shape and function of other proteins that would normally get crushed and deformed. It's like having molecular shock absorbers built into every cell. Some species also have genes that produce special enzymes to repair DNA damage almost instantly. While you and I accumulate genetic errors over time, leading to aging and cancer, these creatures just fix the damage as it happens. The deep-sea octopus is another example of pressure creating an unkillable beast. There's a species called the Dumbo octopus that lives at depths of up to 23,000 feet. At that depth, the pressure is over 10,000 psi. These octopuses have soft, gelatinous bodies with almost no hard structures. They look like they'd fall apart if you touched them. But that softness is their strength. With no rigid bones or shells to crush, the pressure just passes through them. They're like water balloons in a hydraulic press. The press can't crush what's already liquid. And then there's the fact that many deep-sea creatures have evolved to need the pressure. Take them to the surface, and they die. Not because the pressure at the surface is crushing them, but because the lack of pressure makes their proteins unfold and stop working. Their enzymes fall apart. Their cellular structures collapse. It's like they've become so adapted to the extreme that normal conditions are now the extreme for them. They've literally evolved past the point where they can survive in our world. The strangest part? We're only just beginning to understand how deep sea pressure creates these biological miracles. New species are being discovered constantly. In 2020, scientists found a type of snailfish living at over 27,000 feet in the Mariana Trench. That's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. The pressure there is over 16,000 psi. That fish is experiencing the weight of about 50 jumbo jets pressing down on its body from every direction, and it's just swimming around, hunting, living its best life. What can we learn from these animals? Well, scientists are already studying their proteins to develop better pressure-resistant materials. Medical researchers are looking at their DNA repair mechanisms to find ways to slow human aging or prevent cancer. Engineers are examining their body structures to build better deep-sea vehicles and equipment. These creatures that refuse to die might just hold the keys to making us harder to kill too. The ocean's pressure doesn't create monsters, it creates survivors. It creates organisms so perfectly adapted to their environment that death becomes almost optional. While we're up here aging, getting sick, and falling apart after just 80 or 90 years, there are sharks down there that have been alive for 5 centuries, jellyfish that can't die of old age, microscopic bears that can survive literally anything you throw at them. The deep sea isn't just the most extreme environment on Earth, it's a laboratory for immortality, a place where pressure doesn't destroy life, it perfects it. And the animals down there aren't just surviving. They're showing us that under the right conditions, with the right adaptations, life doesn't have to end. It can just keep going and going and going, refusing to die in the face of forces that would obliterate anything else. So the next time you think about the deep ocean, don't just think about darkness and monsters. Think about the creatures down there that have solved problems we're still struggling with. They've beaten aging, they've beaten pressure, they've beaten death itself, and they did it all in the most hostile environment on the planet. If that's not the coolest thing in nature, I don't know what is. Thank you for watching.